my wonderful friends, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you are doing really well. Today I am making a video reviewing the Loopwheels. Some of you have noticed that I have been sporting a new pair of wheels, and I thought it was about time that I shared my experience with you. Now, for full transparency, these wheels are on a long-term loan to me, so I'm able to let you know what they're like and how they feel. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing what Loopwheels are, what their benefits are, a little bit of a history about Loopwheels and how they became about, and I'm going to be answering some of your questions that you have asked as well. So if that all sounds like good stuff to you, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe because I've got lots more disability content coming this summer. And before I move on, if you would like to learn a little bit more about Loopwheels or get some for yourself, then I will leave all the details linked down below. So if you're unsure as to what a Loopwheel is, it is a wheel with built-in suspension. Instead of having individual spokes, they have a flexible carbon loop that acts a little bit like a spring. On a normal wheel, the rim is held in place by stiff spokes, and on a loop wheel, the rim is connected to the hub with curved, springy loops. When you hit bumps, those loops flex and absorb shock before it reacts with your body. The loops return to their shape, ready for the next bump. It's like having shock absorbers in the wheel rather than on the frame or in the fork. Now, Loopwheels were the brainchild of Sam Pierce, who back in the mid-2000s saw a stroller hitting a curb and just thought, why can't we have shock absorbers within the wheels? And that's when he got to work. Having a background in mechanical engineering and as an industrial designer, Sam got to work with making some basic prototypes. It took years of designing and prototypes, and eventually in 2013, Sam had some wheels to show to people at a bike show in 2013. As word got around, wheelchair users started looking at these wheels thinking, hello, they look pretty good. Can we have some for our chairs, please? And in 2015, that is when the first Loopwheel classics were developed for wheelchairs. By 2016, they had developed different colours and they'd also started to win awards as well. And I remember the first time I saw a pair of the Loopwheel classics. It was when I met Lauren from Access Your Life in 2019, I think it was, at the Rolex Experience. Lauren has got these Loopwheels.
So these remove 70% of the vibrations. So this moves when you go over a bump and it stops the vibration going up your seat and allows you. Game changer, especially in England over cobbles. Amazing.
After that, Loopwheels Carbon and Loopwheels Extreme started to be developed, and now Loopwheels have just celebrated their 10th anniversary. All Loopwheels are proudly made in the UK, and Sam actually did develop some of the springs alongside a local company called KG Archery, who make bows and arrows. Loopwheels have now won many awards, and they have had a lot of independent studies to show how beneficial these wheels are on the human body. All of these can be found on their website. Now, speaking of their website, it's very easy to navigate and very easy to choose your wheels. They have three main types of wheels. They have Loopwheels Extreme, Loopwheels Urban, and Loopwheels LT. And I am sporting the Loopwheels LT. And you're probably wondering, well, what's the difference? And if you go onto the website, it's great because there is a help me choose button where you can go and it will ask you questions as to what you're going to be using the wheels for, what your daily lifestyle is like, and then it will generate the best kind of wheels for you. So let's start. Loopwheels Extreme, they are, as the name may suggest, great for people who are going out on very uneven terrain on Batex or hand bikes. With the Urbans, you can have the springs set to regular or stiff. Loopwheels Urban are sort of the classic everyday wheel that most people would probably choose to have, and they are great alongside a Batek or a hand bike as well. You can also set the spring rate at soft, medium or stiff, depending on your preference. Loopwheels LT, they are just like the Loopwheels Urban, but they are designed for people who are lighter, from 40 kilos to 60 kilos in total weight. The spring on these ones are made up of a high-tech carbon composite material optimized for lighter users, and these are set to a softer rate. I think the heavier the person is, the more you're going to feel from the suspension. Shaun has sat in the chair with the loop wheels, and obviously he can get a little bit more bounce going than I can. All wheels fit a 24-inch wheelchair, and some also fit a 25-inch as well. As you know, I absolutely love my Spinergy wheels on my wheelchair. I have the LXL. You can check out a little bit more about my wheelchair and my wheels here. And they have the Carbo-life Curvel natural fit push rims, which I absolutely love and rave about. So when I was looking at swapping my wheels over to the loop wheels, I was a little bit concerned that I was just going to be going back to the basic round push rims. But great news, can opt to have different Carbo-life rims on the wheels, and I have exactly the same push rims on these wheels. Another little option that you can have as well, depending on which wheels you choose, they are adding little accents of colour, and some of the blades are going to be having colours as well. I would absolutely love some of the wheels with blue accents because my wheelchair has blue accents as well, but the LTs at the moment only come in black or green, so I chose black. I didn't even have to change my axle pins. I think my axle pins are like a 12mm diameter, so it was really easy. I just literally had to swap the wheels over and off I went. However, if you do have different sizes, then they will talk you through what they can do to make them fit your wheelchair for you. Postage and delivery was really quick and simple. They came in the post within a few days.
That new smell.
That new tyre smell, yeah. These, oh my God. How sleek do they look? Oh my goodness, I love that matte black. And I was able just to get them out of the box and literally stick them on my wheelchair. Boom! Oh.
All right, there you are with your new wheels.
Oh my goodness.
Look at that. What?
Is that how they are? Is that how they're supposed to be? At first, I was like, oh, because there is kind of like a little bit of like a wobble there. And at first I was like, oh no, I don't know. Oh, this is weird. But literally within like a few minutes, you get used to it and you don't even notice it. And you like really like wobbling things around. Burning question on everyone's lips is, how do I find them? And at first I was unsure, and I love my Spinergy wheels, so it's gonna take a lot of convincing for me to kind of swap them over. Do you know what I mean? But the more I used them, the more I got out, and the more I felt the benefits, the more I've begun to love them. The best benefits are when I'm attached to my Batek. So with my wheelchair, as you may know, it's a fully fixed framed wheelchair. There's no give in there whatsoever, and there's a reason for that. I wanted my chair to be as light as possible, but with that obviously no suspension. There's pros and cons to everything, isn't there? So when I put these wheels on, I noticed immediately a difference. I was able to go a lot faster, and I didn't have to sort of brace myself when I could see bumps or uneven bits coming towards me because the shock is completely absorbed. When I go down curbs in my wheelchair, whether that's attached to my Batek or just freestyling down a curb, again, no shock. Whereas in my wheelchair with my Spinergy wheels, I would generally look for a dropped curb, or if there's no option of a dropped curb, I would literally go down very slowly and have to brace myself because it would really shock up through my body. Hopefully you get it. Give me a thumbs up if you get it. When you go over uneven surfaces like the tactile paving with the loop wheels, you can barely feel the vibrations through the body. You can obviously feel them through the castors because I don't have any suspension on my castors, but through the back bit up through the spine, you can hardly feel those at all. Whereas when I'm attached to my Spinergy wheels, I feel every single lump and bump I've been out on the Loop wheels. I've really given them a good old test. We've gone to the woods where I've gone over uneven ground constantly for a good hour, over tree roots. I've really put them through their paces, and I noticed the ride being a lot more comfortable and a lot more enjoyable. But then what I also noticed is when I was sitting out of my wheelchair like an hour or so later, I didn't feel like that fatigue and that pain and that sort of heavy sensation that you kind of get when you've been out in your wheelchair all day. Do you know what I mean? And you obviously, some of you may have seen we went to London in our last vlog, and we really put it through its paces in Covent Garden, which is notorious for being covered in cobblestones. I was on my Loop wheels, and obviously you do feel the lumps and going over them, but it absorbs the shock. And I remember getting in the car on the way home, and yes, I felt tired, I felt exhausted, and I did feel a little bit achy from wheeling, but I didn't have that internal core pain that I would normally have if I was attached to the Spinergy wheels. There are lots of positives to these wheels. Are there any negatives? The drawback for me is their weight. As you know, I like to try and keep everything on my chair as light as possible. These wheels weigh 2.9 kilos each, nearly 3 kilos. Together, basic quick maths, that's nearly 6 kilos you're adding to your chair. Let's put that into comparison. That might sound like a lot. These are my older Spinergy wheels, the classic ones with the metal hub. These weigh 2.3 kilos, so they are still pretty heavy. But my new Spinergy wheels, the LXL, they have sort of like a lighter hub in the middle here. They weigh 1.7 kilos. That's with the rims and the tires. If you go onto websites, be careful, because quite often wheels will only show the actual wheel weight. They won't include rims or tires. So yeah, I mean, I love these wheels and how light they are. Yeah, let's address the pink elephant in the room, right? The other drawback is the cost. I get it. They're eye-wateringly expensive. And I know some of you are probably already typing, it's my job, this is what I do on YouTube. I am here to give my impartial review. People are going to be searching. I've had lots of questions about Loop wheels and whether they are going to be right for them. I'd like to think that I'm giving a review on my experience as a disabled person with a spinal cord injury and hypermobility and how these have helped me. I review all different types of things and give you my opinion on what they're like. So if you are looking at buying them, hopefully you can weigh up the pros and cons for yourself and see if they work. I have been told that there are different ways of funding these wheels from other people who have Loop wheels. Some have got access to work, or they've done it through insurance. And if you are considering ordering them, then I do have a code for 10% off that I will leave in the description for you. Someone asked, is there a situation where you would use the wheels and you wouldn't use the wheels? And since I've had them on, I haven't taken them off. That's because Daisy's off at the moment and Shaun's around, and I'm not having to do car transfers. I think once Daisy goes back to college and we slip back into our normal routine, I'll probably put my other wheels back on, because these are too heavy for me to do a car transfer. That's not saying that it's impossible to do. I do know lots of other people who are a little bit stronger, who manage them absolutely fine. But for me personally, I would have to put my old wheels back on. I will just mention though, yes, the wheels are a little bit heavier, especially when you're taking them off and putting them in the car. But when you're attached to your wheelchair, they're absolutely fine. They don't make any difference to when you're pushing the actual wheelchair. If anything, they can make the ride better because there's no resistance when you're going over lumps and bumps. The question I got asked is, are these made for all wheelchairs? These are made for manual wheelchairs. They have a 24-inch and a 25-inch, and therefore axles with a quick release. If you get in contact with them, then they'll make sure that they fit your chair before you buy them. You can also do a try before you buy, and they'll send you out a pair to try for 2 weeks before you commit to anything. In conclusion, I think Loop wheels are great. They are especially good if you're going at high speeds on a Batek or a bike, but then they are great for long days out to reduce that fatigue and the vibrations through your body. Let me know, have you tried Loop wheels? What did you think of them? Or do you have a pair and what do you think of them? Let me know in the comments. As always, make sure to give this video a thumb up, maybe 2 thumbs up. And if you enjoyed this video, you will enjoy this video. I look forward to seeing you in my next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.